To receive apologies for absence, members.
You read those out. Yes, Martin, Teresa, Tony, sorry, and Marion. 3 apologies.
Okay. For councillors to declare any personal prejudicial interest in the items on the agenda. No? Well, I'll declare one then, and that's the Turpin Charity. Members,
Could I just make clarification, Mr. Chairman? If that's the case, you are not the only one involved in the Turpin Charity, are you?
He is now.
I am now.
I've resigned.
Thank you.
Members, due to the confidential nature of the business to be transacted, I ask you to pass a resolution to exclude the press and the public from the meeting under the Public Bodies Act, admission to meetings 1960, and the item is the hub. Can I have a proposal and a seconder? In fact, everyone's hands raised. But is agreed, is it, members? Yeah. Matters arise in... Oh, sorry, well ahead of myself. Approve the minutes of the Parish Council meeting held on the 5th of November. They have been circulated. Are they true, accurate record, please?
Sort of yes and no. I wonder if I can just raise a concern. At the meeting, I circulated a list of revised budget subheads, and the record of the meeting really says that list was approved. It doesn't give the detail of the list. This is sort of tantamount to the payments of invoices, etc., being said, yeah, we'll pay those, without actually listing them out. And I think that's really quite important historically, if nothing else, to have the precise figures listed either as part of the minutes or as an annex.
Oh yes, that's what we normally do. And it's not there, is it, this time?
No.
Then can we have them, are they accurate?
I think Jill has copies.
I've printed them off if anyone would like to see them, otherwise they could just go on as an annex, if everyone agrees.
Well,
Yeah, agreed to that.
did we agree them?
Yeah.
We did, so they can go as an annex.
Thank you.
Right.
So I'll just organise that.
Yes.
They're there if anyone wants to see.
Any other amendments? Okay, then can I have a proposer then, please?
I'll propose based on the agreement we've just made.
Yes. Seconder, please.
I'll second.
Yeah, Jean. And is that approved, members? Show of hands, please. Yes, thank you. Also, the minutes, members, of the extraordinary meeting held on the 19th of November, and for the members of the public present, that was the whole was the updating of the Parish Council governance documents for approval. Can I have they've been circulated too, are they an accurate record? Can I have a proposal and second them, please?
I don't know if others are in the same position as me. If I'm honest, I simply haven't had the time to read through them. So I mean, if others have, fine.
Yeah.
I will trust their judgment. Sorry?
I have read them.
Fine.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
yeah.
Everyone, well, enough satisfied, yes. Jean?
Yeah.
Proposer? Anyone else? Seconder? Yes. Colin? Is that asked members?
No.
You're happy with that? Can't say they were that exciting reading, but there we are. Matters arising then from the first minutes on the 5th of November, which was the name of the roads by the school for Stablebridge Road development. And I think that's, you've got that, Jean?
Yeah. We asked Susanna at the school to organise a competition amongst the children. So many of them have been up to see the archaeological dig on Stablebridge Road. and I've got the results here. We are supposed to have 4, but AVDC have suggested that we send in 10, just in case there's duplication in nearby, well, in the village, apart from nearby. But there's a couple here I'd just like to run past you. For accuracy, one is called Whirlwind Way, and this little lad says that my granny told me that in the 1950s there was a whirlwind in Aston Clinton and lifted the headmistress's car up into the tree. Is this true before we send it?
I don't know about the tree and the mistress's cars, but the bell from the school disappeared.
Right. Dare we put Whirlwind Way up for?
It's true.
It's just right, okay. And there's one other one which I'll just show you a couple of them. I thought this was a nice one. This is the 4 houses in the school: Griffin, Collier, Birch, and Taylor. That's quite and there's one other interesting one here. Aston Road. In the Domesday Book of 1086, Aston Clinton was named as Aston.
Yes, that's
So
right.
there's some very clever. So what I'll do is I'll take out any duplicates, if that's okay, and devise a list, send it round to you all before I send it to ABDC, and then they can choose.
Well, that's very good.
There's been quite a bit of thought put into
A
it.
lot of thought. There's a lovely one here that I'm not. Is really. This is called Flora Avenue. It's the Roman goddess of flowers. So they've obviously really, learnt a lot of their history about visiting the site. So I'll send an email around to everybody and do this.
That's good. Well, I expect some of those will be used. It's only when they clash, as you say, with
Yes,
others.
I mean, some of them are very particular to us, especially something like Aston Way. I thought that was a good one.
That's all on matters arising. And we'll move on to Chairman's monthly report. Timely, again, this has been brought up, is the neighbourhood development plan. And in August we received an email from Jean Fox from the Community Impact Bucks, who in partnership with the planning consultants have established a good track record on neighbourhood plans in Buckinghamshire. Winslow Town, for instance, Great Board and Cheddington. At present, the Aylesbury District Council do not have a local plan in place, and Jean is currently working to develop a more streamlined process to drive it forward, which is, she suggests it can be done in 18 weeks, but there is a cost of £10,000. Now, as I've mentioned, it's been put forward several times, and we haven't actually moved it forward. It's just whether members want to decide to do make some exploratory to find out, or ask Jean to come along and give us a presentation.
Well, I've been sort of doing some of this as well. I had that email from the ABDC which mentioned all about this neighbourhood plan, was before I raised it with you about bringing it up. Winslow, the neighbourhood plan, if you read them, they're available. Winslow's got one, I think Brendan Underwood and one or two others. Fortunately for them, they got it going a lot earlier than we have, and Winslow managed to refuse 211 houses based on their neighbourhood plan, as it's called. So if you have a neighbourhood plan, which is what you're proposing, this takes the place of the local plan that AVDC have not got, and is not live until 2017, I understand. If you can get a neighbourhood plan, it has the backing of a European Union directive as well, and it gives you the same protection within the area, or not protection, but the wrong word, a strong basis to discuss with the planners that you would have with the Aylesbury plan, the 5-year plan. It is as good as that. So, to my mind, the neighbourhood plan is one of the most important things that we could do for this village. Albeit, it's going to cost us 10 grand. If you read the Winslow one, it's over 50 pages long.
Yes.
It is quite the document. They go into the history of the village, its centres, its distance from greenfield sites, from woodland, its pathways. It is very detailed. It's not something we could do as a set of people, even with the help of the village, I don't think. It's
Well, I
something
think
that needs professional help to
that's
come
right.
up with a good plan.
Well, Winslow Town one, they did have the help of members of the village.
As well.
As well.
You can do both, of course, but you need guidance as to where you've got to do research and everything else. And those people probably, you could say, yes, we need 4 people to research this, that and the other, but you need the guidance from them. So I think it's money, if we can do it, I think it's probably the best thing we can do for this village.
I've actually spoke to the planners in Elbury and they say there is £7,000 of government money towards
There
it.
is a grant. The lady's meant to be forwarding it to me, but nothing has appeared as yet. You can get some money for this, yes.
So, I mean, even if we just explore it with Jean Fox coming to do a presentation.
Yeah, with utmost alacrity.
Well, members, what's others' views?
I think we've got to go forward with it because we can't keep allowing these houses. Can't we?
Without a neighbourhood plan, you're fighting Peaceville like we did with Lace, you know, the Chapel Drive and Packville you're doing with the other one. You will just be going from one to t'other, trying to fight them, and each one will be, you know, fought on an individual basis, and you've got all the, you know, you've got nothing to base your argument on, very little. It's either roadways or views or all these sort of things. If you have a plan, you say, well, here's our plan, this is the land we want, this is the reasons why we've done it. You know, what's your reason that you don't want to confirm, you know, apply by this plan? It's much more different.
Do we understand when the plan's active from? Is it when
It has
does it
to
get
be
signed off, or
it has to be
authorised
voted on by
indoors?
the village.
It's a referendum.
It's a referendum. You have to go to referendum in the village to have it approved.
And from that point, it's active.
From that point on, yeah, it then goes to, I can't remember what it's called, not an approver, but it goes to someone like an examiner or an approver, if you like, for a term. And he then says, yes, that's all been done correctly. I think it's more of a legal thing than he's not looking at it in terms of what you've decided. He's looking at have you done the right methods of what you've gone through. And once he signs it off, yes.
And what does that mean for the proposals we've already got for the village?
I don't think it will have any effect on what's there at the moment, unless, of course, by the time you get the plan up, they haven't got approval.
I'm asking you like you're informed, but
Yes. Well, I've been talking as much
yeah.
as I can about it, but that, you know, I can only do so much in terms of Tony and I have been doing, in terms of what we can do without the approval of the council. You know, we need the approval, we need the money to do. You can't just go and do it. Yes, if some of these plans are up now and they're not approved, by the time the neighbourhood plan is in force, then they would have, that would be a very strong argument against or for, depending on where we designate the land, you know, we want the houses to go.
and in that plan, Mr. Chairman, can we suggest things like shops,
Yes.
Oh,
pubs,
yes.
and infrastructure, schools,
Yes.
surgeries, because it's the infrastructure that's
Yes.
weak in the village.
It's
to
everything.
accept
It's
the
not
houses.
just where you want the houses to go and how many. It is the whole. That's why it's such an involved sort of thing.
And businesses, you know, like the, well, we've got our area for the development down College Road, but that as well if we didn't have it.
That's commercial, but you know.
So I mean
yeah.
commercial as well, that's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Everything. It covers pretty much everything.
So members, I mean, the least we could do is ask for Jean Fox to come and see us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you want me to sort of take the lead with that and
Yes, if you
coordinate
would.
with her, then I'll do that. And with Tony, you know, with the little planning committee, and Joe is of course on that as well. So we'll.
We have seen her before, you know, because it was affordable rural housing she was involved in.
It was, but unfortunately, as I say, this was first moved in 2012, and Winslow got theirs going then, and so did Underwood, and we haven't done it.
And they
Anyway, there's nothing we can do about that now. We can only move on from now.
Winslow was challenged and ended in the High Court, didn't they?
Yeah, but they got it approved.
Oh, they got it approved.
They got it approved.
Yeah.
So hey, but the sooner you start, the sooner it's done.
So members, can I have a proposer or seconder just for Jean to come and see us?
Or to try and take this forward, I would like to make it a bit more stronger than that.
All right, okay. You're proposing.
Can I'm
I know the money matter.
I know the money's
Yeah,
the matter.
at the end.
I am, of course, in support of this. I will, if I may, just come back to it when I talk about precept later on.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I understand. I mean, I realise it's, you know.
We will be, of course, if we do, as we did, well, Joe's proposed it, we will be better informed after we've seen Jean.
Yeah, so I'm in support.
So you're proposing that, are you, Joe?
Yeah, sorry, can I just ask you, the 10,000, does that include the referendum? Because that's going to, is there a
I-
cost implication?
That I can't know about that. I don't know. I doubt whether it does. I think this is her or her and the firm preparing the neighbourhood plan.
Is it something we could bolt onto the election in May if we got it done quick enough?
Sounds like a reasonable idea, doesn't it?
I mean, it's a chance everyone's visiting that
It's-
polling station.
Well, not quicker than May. You might. It's 18 weeks, so you might, if you get it going, if you commit, you might get it done.
Yeah, Mrs. Aston Clinton.
What if it's up to us, as the parish council to commit to that? And if we commit and start the things, it's 18 weeks, you reckon?
Okay, well, Joe's
So that's
proposed
a
it,
possibility, what I'm saying is it's a possibility.
Yeah.
still proposed it, can we just have a
Yes.
second?
Can I just get clear about what the proposal is? Sorry.
That we have Jim Fox come and enlighten us on what this involves.
Brilliant, thank you.
And hopefully go forward from that. Do you want me to put something a bit?
Yeah, I would like the parish council to commit within financial constraints, or however you want to phrase it, to taking on the prospect of a neighbourhood plan for the village.
I don't think we can do that until we've heard from Jean.
No, I don't.
Okay, all right, well, let's start with Jean then, if that's
Second.
all we can do.
Seconded. Are we in favour, members? I mean, all we're voting for is for her to come and...
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, members. Just one thing I'd like to mention. We can claim no credit for it, but we actually have an email thanking us for arranging the remembrance service for the War Memorial, which we do every year, but it certainly was a big turnout this time. And for once we got an email from someone saying well done.
Oh, okay.
But we have nothing to do with the numbers that turn up, and that's up to them.
Thank you to the village.
Yeah.
That's all I have for the chairman's report. It's the clerk's report.
I don't have an awful lot to say, just to let you all know that my office hours will be Monday and Wednesday mornings, and in the afternoons on a Tuesday and Thursday. Members of the public as well, if you need to get hold of me. So that's 2 mornings and 2 afternoons. The other thing, obviously with the election coming up in May, we have to agree our dates for our meetings for next year. So I've circulated that. It's a bit tricky in May. Well, Christine, you'll correct me on this if
Yeah,
I'm
there
wrong.
are
but-
constraints that apply during an election year. You must have a meeting within 14 days of elected councillors being asked to attend a meeting. And you don't become a councillor until 4 days after the election. And so you must have your meeting within 18 days. That's a legal thing.
Okay.
Just taking it back 1 month, are you suggesting some problem with Wednesday, April the 1st, it being Holy Week coming up?
No, just that people go away and things like that for Easter.
Fine, but we're going to stick with that one as a date.
It's
If
the Wednesday
everyone's in
before
agreement.
Easter weekend, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be the way it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ash Wednesday.
Well, it doesn't often happen, but we've not changed that before.
I think there are 2 questions, if I may. A, do we bother with a meeting the day before the election?
Oh, yes, yeah. Yes, because we've got to hold one then, as Christine says.
No, we don't have to
No,
hold
the
on
day
Wednesday, May the
before.
6th, is my understanding.
No, you wouldn't
No,
have to have
no,
that on as
afterwards.
well.
So it is simply a question, given that there has to be a meeting on the 13th or the 20th,
Do we
do we
want
want
one
to
as well?
bother with the one on Wednesday, May the 6th?
That's it, point.
No, I
No.
can't.
No, right.
So we scrub that, and then it's a question of do we want the 13th or the 20th?
Yeah.
And to my way of thinking, the 13th looks like a better day.
What day?
But
Yeah, I can't attend that.
What day are we doing?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
It is a Wednesday, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, members, do some of us may not be here, but Wednesday the 13th then instead of the 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're agreeing those, correct me, we've got January, February, March, April the 1st, May the 13th, June the 3rd, July, etc. I will put those up on the website.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
Is that all? We've got,
So, unless anybody would like to ask me anything.
any questions for the clerk and members? No? Correspondence then?
I circulated, or forwarded rather, the emails from Carol Paternoster about the one, this is matters that have arisen from the last meeting, so about the 106 funding. So it was just what it covers and what it doesn't cover. That was just to tie that up because that was minuted in the last meeting. Apparently somebody had asked if it funded pedestrian crossings, but it doesn't. There's a list of what the sort of things it does fund, if anyone would like to see that. Did I forward this to everybody?
I can't remember seeing it.
Don't remember seeing a list, no. That would be,
I remember the email.
yes, no.
These are the attachments to the email.
It's generally leisure.
I know there's been a lot of
been a lot.
things to read.
It has been doing a lot of forwarding.
It did
I think
come
there were about 20 today
It did come
alone.
out.
yeah, I got it,
Oh.
Yeah,
It must have just come to you.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
it's favoured.
But it's mainly leisure.
Yes, and then the new homes bonus as well, but
Yeah, that would
that's the 20% set aside for bids from parish councils, but I don't have,
Yes,
I only have what Councillor Paternoster emailed.
there's one thing on there which is of interest in that Winslow managed to get a new community centre out of the new homes bonus, and
They must be dead
That's
organised over there.
that's a lot of money.
But it does say that there's another round coming up soon.
Oh yes, we can bid.
for
Not we
bids.
personally, but the village, if they have something in mind, make a bid.
So that was that.
presumably we need to publicise that in some shape or form, do we not?
Website, on the website.
Yes,
Jack?
have you seen
Sure
the
what we spent.
It may be
Sorry, I was
just...
a mile away. Is this publicising the use of section 106 money?
No,
No,
this
new
is
homes.
the new homes bonus, which Winslow got leisure centre out of.
Some ideas from the village, because what, I think we need some outside, we need to publicise it so we get some outside ideas, not just ours.
That's right. I wonder, we can put it on the website, but whether it goes into, say, the
Village
Village Life.
Village Life, there is that.
Alex is smiling, so that might
It's
be...
there to be used.
That's
Yes.
right. Yes, if you... someone could do a brief article on it.
Certainly.
Yeah. We let Alex... does not see it. Alex could see that.
Play Around the Parishes. Aston Clinton hosted that this summer, I understand. It's come round again. It seems to me that you did 4 consecutive Tuesdays during the summer holidays here in the park.
How much were they then?
That was the invoice that had come.
Gone up
130,
It's
considerably.
gone up
130 a session, it has gone up quite a bit.
considerably, hasn't it?
Did I circulate?
It has been circulated, yeah.
If I could but find it. Here we are.
This is now £200.
£200 for a 2-hour event, £315 for a 4-hour event, and if you want it with sports, it's £260 for a 2-hour event and £380 for a 4-hour event. So it's quite a bit more money.
What's members' thoughts on that? I know
But
there was some surprise when we got the bill we did get last time.
but it's also, I guess, sort of expected, isn't it, by people? It's
Do we know
something
how
will
many
be
people
going
turn
on.
up to it? How well supported it was or not?
It is
It
generally.
is reasonably well supported, yes. Well, what do members feel? We spent £520, didn't we, last time?
Yeah.
I gave you the thing,
This is
didn't
really
I?
rings a
Yes.
bell.
Oh, sorry, no,
You've
but
got
no,
it, yeah.
£520. That bought us 4 Tuesdays, 4 afternoon sessions of it. which is really lovely, isn't it? Because that covers the whole of the summer holidays almost. It's the whole of August anyway.
How much would be 4 sessions next year?
Well, it would, if you went for the cheapest option, that would be £800
But is that the same as we did this year?
for the full.
What does it say?
I think so. There's not a lot of detail on here.
So it's gone up by £300.
Wow.
I think it's gone up about that much.
No, it's gone up by
I thought-
£70. It's gone up from £130 a session to £200 a
Yeah, but
session.
they're only 4 sessions.
800 quid, so
So it's,
yeah.
It's a huge increase.
yeah.
Well, it was a huge increase from last year.
It was.
Was it?
Mm.
That they allude in their letter to the idea of making a small charge. I don't know if that in any way appeals as a way of offsetting the increase in cost. I mean, they're saying,
That charge comes back to us, Jeff, doesn't it?
so, yeah,
Comes back to us.
What do they?
You know, if I may, we suggest that if parishes feel the need to offset some of the cost of the event, a small charge could be made to those families attending or a donation requested. In the summer of 2014, we asked those who attended sessions if they would be prepared to pay. 88% of those who responded said they would still come if a small charge was made.
Mm.
I think it's quite difficult when it's a park, because you're not supposed to, you know, unless it's something major, you're not supposed to charge to come onto the park. You can on the fun day by actually selling a programme or something, but you're not supposed to charge to come onto the park.
Even though it's a special event.
Providing a service.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
yes,
like-
those are providing a service.
It's like charging, you know, it's like charging for a ride on a fair, isn't it? If we start
Yeah.
a ride on the fair in the park, that would be reasonable.
I thought that would be.
But
I'm not
how,
sure about the legal side around it.
how are you going to, I mean, you've got 2 entrances, several, no, you've got more entrances.
Well, if you make it, you know, an
Unless
honour
you do-
system and it's voluntary, if the people are as, you know, nice and trustworthy as
Well,
they
yeah.
ostensibly are going to be, then it'll be self-policing. I don't think we ought to, you know, police it in any way, or have people there. I don't think that would be in the spirit of it. But if you ask nicely, and they said in terms of donation, if you ask nicely, you know,
But
maybe we will.
we're abdicating the responsibility to take the money to this business, aren't we? So we're not going to be worried about that. That's going to be their issue.
No, I suspect it's ours.
It's,
No,
it's,
it'd be
it's the
ours.
principle, isn't it? It's the principle of charging is the discussion.
Well, are you going to charge or ask for a donation? That's a subtle difference as well, I see.
I think it would need to be a donation.
Yes, that's what I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
But the organisers will be collecting it, won't they?
I don't
We
think
would-
so, I think we
Well,
would
no,
be.
we would have to collect
Oh.
it, wouldn't we?
Because it would be our money
Would
to
we?
offset the cost.
The cost,
It's us
yes.
that receives the invoice
Yeah.
for hosting the event.
Is that what it says, Jeff? That's not how
I'm sorry.
I kind of interpreted it.
It doesn't,
You suggest that if parishes feel the need to offset some of the cost, a small charge could be made. It's not
doesn't
clear,
say
is
who,
it?
No.
who levies it. I suspect it will be down to us.
Have you allowed anything in the subheading for this year?
Well, we put 3,300 for play area in the park, and I think, as far as 2014 is concerned, I charged the 520 to that subhead. So, yeah, I got 3,300. But, you know, if a bit of equipment fails, if we need some more bark, that's the budget subhead it comes out of.
glass or whatever. Yeah, but,
Aren't we supposed to be getting some 106 money from up the road for the play area?
Well, if you do equipment, Teresa, it's, you can't use it for maintenance of the existing
No,
equipment.
it's got to be something new.
Renew bark?
Well,
Why don't we account for 3 sessions, you know, so that way it's already
Well-
4.
yeah, that's an idea.
well, yes, we spent 520 last year, and in 3 sessions it cost us 600.
And some villages are not doing it at all.
Lovely.
Well, that's probably not a bad idea. 3. Do we have any data on which were the best supported date?
Oh, they were out at the height of the summer, yes, that was when the people there.
Okay. Well,
They're really only offering 27th of July for 5 weeks. So 27th of July to 28th of August are the dates that they are offering.
So, members, it's been suggested that we
So we don't need to submit this until the 2nd of February. We don't need to necessarily decide.
Well, I think if it was good for the village and it was well supported, I suggest, the days of going down to 3
Yeah.
is a good compromise, especially with the state of our finances, isn't it? So, yeah.
Is that a proposal then, Colin?
Yes, I propose we have 3 days next summer.
Seconded from Dave. Is that agreed, members?
Yes.
Show of hands, please. Joe's concentrating. Yes, there's a majority in favour.
Joe agrees. Well,
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Just the donation, but I think did we want to donate to the British Legion?
You've got £17 for the wreath.
Yes.
That's what it actually physically costs to make it.
Yes.
So we
They asked for a donation, we just paid the 17.
Yeah, well, we used to pay £50 because 17 is, they're not making any money
Yeah.
out of that.
So we usually pay £23 more to make up to £50. We paid the £17 for the
I think you had 33.
charge against three.
£30, members. For the British Legion, you have to declare an interest.
I think I do, yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, that was, if it happened last year, and
We've always paid £50.
okay, I
And
can't see that's going to break me.
For that, Jeff?
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
30 or 33?
33 on top, yeah.
Is that agreed, members? Yeah, okay. Right, report and recommendations from the Finance and Staff Committee and approval of payments.
I wonder if you could indulge me slightly, Mr. Chairman, if I could take approval of payments first. I have circulated the list. There are 7 items which have already gone, and there are 8 to be paid. The one, as I mentioned in an email, the one that was kind of disappointing was yet another from Total Garden Care, but I can confirm it is valid. We have not paid it. Sorry. Generally speaking, the level of expenditure was lower than I was predicting, which is comforting. However, that was the same in October, and all the October spend came in November, so I simply say, can I seek approval for those items to be paid?
I see that the ones turned up that was apparently missed last time.
Which one?
Weebly.
Oh, there's a reference in the minutes of the last meeting, so I logged that in because it had been missed, so it's in there again.
Yes, that was actually missed, and in fact I consulted with Jeff on this one. So often you get emails come through which you don't recognise with an invoice attached to it. It's not always not wise to open them. I didn't recognise it, Jeff didn't recognise it, and so we didn't open it, but it turned out to be an annual direct debit, and it was genuine. There we are.
Just for explanation, if members of the public are in the slightest bit interested, Weebly is the software that we use to host the website. Weebly, we were using Weebly Pro, which is the slightly more expensive one. It's a pretty modest cost for what we get out of it. So.
But and since Jill's been with us, she's had others come through the same. You just don't open them unless you recognise it. Anyhow, Jeff, your proposal for
I would like to propose that we accept these payments and ask Jill to pay them tomorrow.
Members can have a proposal and a second of them, please. Dave, well, who's proposed it? Jeff and Dave. Is that agreed, members?
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
If I can now turn to the normal report that I circulated to you. You got the monthly reconciliation, just simply confirmation of income expenditure over the month and a little bit of projected expenditure for December. Most of these charts are just a formality, but they allow us to tie in directly back to it. So they are precise to that extent. It just helps me confirm that my figures are well. We need, on the second one, the overall summary of accounts at the end of the month, we need to do just a wee bit of tidy up of petty cash, but otherwise we're about there. And the graph is just showing you that the reserve has pop back in the region of 30,000, which is comforting. But watch this space. Certainly items later on. Just an aside on two items, if I may, before I get on to precept. There is a briefing tomorrow by Bucks County Council or ABDC about the whole issue of grass cutting, which I'm going to. We might know a bit more about whether we're going to have to bear a cost if we go down the ABDC route. The other thing I just wanted to note was that we had agreed at the Finance and Staff Committee that we would engage in credit references for those members of the Parish Council and the clerk who are on the bank mandate. Now, precepts. This is a bundle of fun. Loved every second of this. Didn't know where to start, really. Shall I just throw in the bad news first? I should perhaps just, particularly for members of the council, if not for the public, explain a little bit of the process. What I attempted to do this year was to look at the income and expenditure since April 2011 and use that as a basis for trying to estimate the likely expenditure in 2015 and 16. Expenditure was analysed under 56 different headings, so we're going down to a level of detail as best we could. I then added a risk factor, a sort of weighting, and if you'll allow me just to use street lighting as an example, we pay a chunk to E.ON each month, £560 odd a month for the electricity for street lighting. This is pretty risk-free. We know what we're going to spend each month as a direct debit, so the risk factor is really low. When it comes to street lights failing and us having to fix them, the risk factor is pretty high. We just don't have a clue. They just happen out of the blue. This is an iterative process. Even tonight, we've had the suggestion that the neighbourhood plan is brought into play. The Parish Council has to consider its legal obligations. There are certain things that I class as musts. We've got a clerk, we've got to pay a salary, we have to pay telephone, etc., etc. And there is you, the public, the stakeholders, who this year I want to draw into the equation. But let's hit the bad news first. Our first pass at the precept calculation, now this was the meeting of the Finance and Staffing Committee, came up with a precept of 139,000, which is a 31% increase on the present year. I'm not going to attempt to comment more. Colin then subsequently added in the neighbourhood plan figure, which took it up to 150,000, which is 41% above where we stand. Tony Winterbottom came in and said, well, it's not acceptable, can't do that, get rid of some stuff. So I got it down to 105,000, which is 99% of this year's precept. This thing can rock around all over the place with no problems at all. And what I am proposing is that I, if you will, hold a meeting Wednesday 2 weeks hence, where you as stakeholders have the opportunity to comment on the detail and provide some input to the process. I don't actually see why this should be a parish council imposing figures upon you, but there's a lot to explain. I wouldn't want to do it now, but I'm quite prepared to devote whatever time you want on that evening to run through the figures and get some input from you.
Is that the council being asked that, or is that the public being asked that?
No, it's the public. I'm not planning to hold it as a formal parish council meeting. I'm planning to hold it as a sort of consultation with the public. But hey, if you want to come, please do.
No, I agree with the principle, but are you asking the council if we should do that, or are you just going ahead and doing it?
I'm just going to go and do it.
Okay, can I just ask, you mentioned weighting and risk.
Yeah.
Where risk was high, did you add more weighting?
Yes.
Where risk was low, did you add low weighting?
We just find the figures, isn't it?
And was that percentage weighting you added?
Bear with me. Yeah. The weighting applied to both income and expenditure, and the risk factor 1 was 5%. So where it was a risky expenditure, I increased by 5%. Where it was risky income of level 1, I reduced it by 5%. Level 2, I did 10%. Level 3, I did 20%. Now, these are, I can't defend those figures. They are just, I plucked some out of thin air.
It understands the science. I think we all will understand the science a bit better, knowing those percentages.
But in the spreadsheet, the percentages can be changed in an instant.
Yeah.
And if somebody thinks that's just totally wrong, I can change those. There were relatively few level 3 risks, actually.
Jeff, are you proposing that the public should have information at that meeting, or in advance of the meeting?
What I'm proposing is that I will put the raw figures up on the website ahead of the meeting, but I am subject to one or two limitations that we will be discussing later on. So yeah, I am intending to put the figures out exactly as we discussed them at the Finance and Staff Committee meeting, with the one change that Colin has suggested. And yeah, that would be the basis of discussion.
And the grading would be such that, as you've already alluded, that like the lighting and the salary for the clerk, really, they can, well, they'll be there, but it's not really one that you can really be flexible with.
No, I worried a little bit about whether there was an overlap about the reserve and the weighting factor, and in the end concluded there wasn't. They were covering two different things. The failure of the pump outside, it's cost us £7,000 or £8,000, whatever it was. That's not in the preset figures. That's just come out of the blue, and really the reserve is looking to cover eventualities like that. I think it's right to apply a risk factor to other things like street lighting. And such like. I mean, one of the things that will come up for discussion at this meeting 2 weeks hence is that, if we cut it down to the same precept as we have this year, we're going to be in a very sort of care and maintenance mode, what I call running costs, just maintaining the status quo. We're not going to go forward at all with any improvements. And I think our stakeholders, the public, have got to accept that in order to make improvement, in order to add new facilities to the village, where we can engage with Section 106 money, let's do it. Where we can't, we've got to fund it. But there are, one of the things in doubt here was actually a programme or a rolling programme of lamppost replacement, a complete column, not just the bulbs at the top. We've got to face these sort of things. We are responsible for them. We did start a programme last year and we abandoned it this year. So that sort of thing will come up for discussion.
I'm a bit worried about you chairing a meeting to the village.
I'm not. Well, call it chairing, call it consultation, I don't mind.
But, I mean, we have a fine group of the village public here this evening, but you could get the whole village. Everybody gets a vote.
No, there's no voting.
No, they all have got a, well, I mean, they all get a vote. They've all got a interested in this.
Yeah.
So you could get the whole village.
It'll be a bit crowded, isn't
It might be.
it? Loudspeakers? Yeah, outside.
It'd be interesting too.
But my point is, we're inviting an uncontrollable in terms of size, ladies and gentlemen, not uncontrollable in terms of behaviour, uncontrollable size, body of people to a meeting.
I accept your point. We control it simply by the number of people we can get in the room then. I can't do that. So if you want to come, get in here quick.
I would just like to point out that I think for you to do this, Jeff, you have to have the backing of the members of the parish council. Is this your concern?
No, I did ask that question because I thought it was a bit presumptuous of the councillor to tell you what you're doing. But I made the point, and I've got no wish to argue against it because I think the principle is good. My concern is, though, it could be the precept, as I remember this year, was contentious because it went up significantly, and what you're suggesting, Jeff, is that it should go up again this year so we can do something in this village. But that means different things to different people. It will mean different things to different people that are sat in the audience this evening.
What exactly
And
would be the cost?
a meeting for the village is maybe an uncontrollable size meeting. That's my worry.
Colin, you've got to...
Yeah, What is the actual cost to the village, Jeff, from if that increases by, say, 30%? What would be do we know what the nuts and bolts increase would be?
What, per household?
Per household?
No, I'm sorry,
On
I
the
don't
rates?
think-
No idea.
Well,
No.
on Group D, which is the middle band, every 10,000 costs a household £14 a year.
On the parish bit of the...
Yes, sir.
Right, so for every extra 10... So every extra 10k?
Yeah.
It's £14. £14. Well, I think those sort of figures, Jeff, are something you need to have when they come to the public, start lobbing in ideas.
Yeah,
Because they really need to know how much it's going to cost them, don't they? Whether they're prepared to stump up.
Yeah.
I mean, I know...
I think, sorry,
Sorry.
I was, as the meeting was progressing, I was drawing a little chart here, and the precept calculation is some sort of nightmare in the sense that, Aston Clinton Parish Council, notwithstanding what the public may want to say, has an input and a responsibility which you can't avoid. But one of its inputs is political. It's hey, I don't think we should go above the present value, which was what Tony was saying. And if that is the eventual outcome, we have to cut our cloth accordingly.
I entirely agree with that. Yes.
And your neighbourhood plan may go out the window because 10,000 out of 120 or something is quite a chunk. So I think we have to provide some input to the equation as well. Perhaps looking slightly longer term, our feeling is that the neighbourhood plan is a good thing, and if we can get some cost figures, it would be good to throw it into the equation.
Can I just add that with the government interfering as it is, there's no guarantees that your precept won't be capped in future. So you won't be able to put it out more than 2%.
That's sort of an area that we can't
I know
legislate
you
for.
can't predict it, but I think you should be prepared for it.
Well, I mean,
That's an argument to get it bumped up as much as possible. That is.
Well, to put it bluntly, that's what a lot of parish councils are doing,
Oh, well, there you go.
knowing that they can't, might not be able to achieve.
I'm not
Go for
hugely in favour of that. One thing we do know is we get a grant in the next year. It'll be 1,420, which provides a potential very small reduction in the precept. In the following year, it's about 710, and in the following year, it won't exist. So we get a very small bit of money back. But my proposal is that we have the public meeting in 2 weeks' time, and I
think
to
it's-
front it myself. I don't need any.
I think that's got to be a good idea, because if the planning committee's neighbourhood plan, which I feel is important, if the village is not prepared to stump up, then so be it. Then they don't get one. But that's I can't believe. Well, maybe they will. Who knows?
We have, sorry, Mr. Chairman, if I may, we have just a little bit of time available, but not a lot. My timetable is that at the 7th of January meeting of Aston Clinton Parish Council, we will be looking to agree the precept figure. It has got to be for AVDC by the 23rd of Jan. So we have a little bit of time in December to mince some figures, but not a lot.
Mr. Chairman, how do we take, at the meeting that Jeff's chairing, how do we take the village's view? I mean, how are you going to measure the view to give yourself an opinion to come back and report to this council? Are you going to take a show of hands? Are you going to take a weight of argument?
No, because I think part of my thinking here was to provide a level of detail so that there is an understanding of the sort of areas that we've got to cover. And as I said earlier, we analyse expenditure under 56 different budget subheads. There is a lot of detail, and
I understand, yes, sorry to interrupt. So are you saying this is a briefing to the village, and then to finish it, please trust your parish council to decide for you?
No, it's a case of, okay, this is the way we're thinking based on past experience, and it's very much based on expenditure over the last 4 years. Are we going in the right direction? Are you suggesting we should head slightly differently? Is that too much?
And then, so back to my question, and how do we take the view from the public the village, our village, the people in our village, this group here, for argument's sake, how do we take their view?
You could ask them to just put their ideas on post-it
Is
notes.
it a show of hands? Is it a letter? Is it a ballot? I don't.
I don't think it can be a show of hands.
Do you see where I'm going? You see how difficult this is?
Absolutely. My feeling is that I am going to have to collect together the input that meeting provides, put it back into an iteration of the preset figures, and see where we get to. But as I said, it cannot be exclusively what the public say. We have our own inputs that we have to make. So there's a melding of many different sources in order to derive a preset
For us to
figure.
make a decision.
Yes.
Because the responsibility, I'll finish now, the responsibility for the decision sits with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Christine has suggested, and I've been at meetings like this, to post it
Post-it note system works very well.
so that each individual then can put on a board a post-it
1,
note.
2 or 3 of their most important concerns.
And that way you do get a reasonably independent
Yeah.
view.
Would it be sensible to Mr. Chairman to hire the Anthony Hall for the evening, or maybe advertise this on the website?
Oh yes, I mean
Get
yes,
some posters up.
we've no idea. Anyhow, could I have a proposer and a seconder for
For the meeting.
this meeting of Jeff's proposal?
I'll propose it.
Dave, Colin, members? Yes, that seems unanimous.
Sorry, just as an aside, when the Anthony Hall is to be used, the date may vary.
Oh yes, all right. What day are you proposing? What day of the week is it?
Well, I was suggesting 2 weeks hence on Wednesday the 17th
Wednesday.
of December.
Well, yes. Well, you'll have to, yes, publish it when you know. Okay, members. Is that all on...
Good heavens, no.
No? Oh my goodness.
You should be lucky.
You've done 20 minutes.
The next one is difficult, Mr. Chairman, but I want to raise the issue of the use of the parish council insurance. In doing so, I believe you have to declare an interest, which is personal, pecuniary and prejudicial.
Is that suitable, Christian? I think that should be closed session.
You have put it in the public domain, Mr. Chairman,
When?
by approaching directly the parish council insurers. You will put it into the parish council domain. It didn't need to have been done, it would then have been a personal private issue. But you have moved it into the parish council domain now.
It is a council issue.
It's not a council issue, Mr. Chairman. That's the whole point. But before we go on, again, I'm saying you have to declare, I believe, a personal, pecuniary and prejudicial interest, in which case I believe, according to the standing orders, you need to leave the meeting.
I think that any personal matter has to be in a closed session.
This has come out of the blue, isn't
It
it?
is, yes, and it needs to put it on the agenda.
I need to put my head around this one. So, what is the issue with the insurers? Do you need clarification on whether there is something that they will cover or will not cover? Do you know that there are there
What
inquiries
I'm
to be
saying
made?
is this is nothing to do with the parish council. Therefore, a reference to the parish council insurers was not appropriate.
Is that what the insurers have said?
I don't care what the insurers have said. It is nothing to do, this was
They
a
shouldn't have been
personal
approached.
case. They shouldn't even have been approached.
Once they're approached, then they're obliged to respond, aren't they? And they will, being a commercial firm, they will do what's asked of them. But we feel it's not a council thing.
Well, in that case, you'll have to go into closed session. Well, I know that you love airing your dirty linen in public in Aston, but it's not in the parish council's interest.
I'm content to go to closed session.
We have a closed session today, so
Thank you.
Can we put it in closed session later?
Okay.
Shame it's not in the public interest, isn't it? Behind closed doors again.
Well, there are certain things that the parish council...
Behind closed doors again.
Alan, not appropriate.
There are some
Right,
things
just
that
feel very strongly about it.
it's necessary for the parish council to be protected from itself sometimes, and that's what the clerk is here to make sure that the parish council doesn't put itself in a position where it's inviting any kind of legal, what's the word I'm looking for?
Come back.
Well, yeah, come back, or questioning, or challenge. That's that. Otherwise, we wouldn't have that section under the 1960 Act. That is what it's there for. It's so that the parish council can thrash things out without fear of them being taken to court for anything. It's perfectly legal to go into closed session when you are discussing private and personal matters. So that's the way it is.
We can start quoting standing orders if you want.
No, I'm not interested in standing orders. I'm
Well,
interested
got
in the law.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
standing orders,
I'm with you, Christine.
they
I'm
are
also
based
don't-
on the law. Standing orders are the council's method of doing things, but the standing orders cannot override the law. If you look at a basic set of standing orders, there are certain sections that are in bold letters, and you are under no circumstances allowed to change that unless you're improving the input. So the fact is that the law is what supports the parish council going to closed session, not the standing orders. Because anyone can come along any time at any meeting and say, can we set aside standing orders? Everyone can agree to do so, and they don't count anymore. But you can't do that with the law. You can't say, oh, let's not do that today. You can do that with standing orders, but you can't with the law. And the law says you can go into closed session. And it's for the council to decide when they're going to closed session. And the parish council is an elected corporate body, and as a whole, it's their decisions that count. And if they say they're going into closed session, it's because they've discussed what's going on and they've decided that's the right thing to do. It wouldn't be correct for some things to be discussed in an open forum. It just wouldn't be correct. You can't discuss the clerk's salary, or do you think
I
perhaps you
we've got
should?
it. Let's close session. Let's move on.
Yeah,
Okay?
Okay, thanks, Christine.
Is there anything else under staff and finance?
I don't know.
Right. Planning. We are now circulated a list of planning that's come forward, which we will go on our website. Any comments on those, members? I think they're all ones that we...
Yes, but just a little word there for
Yes,
with Joe and Tony, and John Watson's co-opted member, if you like, on that. Been a bit of a change from the council. In fact, we don't get the plans so much now. We just get a sort of basic information from them as to what's going on, and we then have to investigate or ask them for the details, which we now do. And every plan that we're going to get, one of us is going to have a look round, and if we feel it's a minor thing, like additional reports on something, then that will go down and it will be published on the thing. And if there's any contentious items, then it will come back to the planning committee and obviously be discussed at greater length. But initially, not all four of us are always going to discuss every little thing. Okay, so it's on the small ones that can be reported on by one of us, agreed upon, and then published. And if there's anything bigger than that, we'll discuss it, and if it's really big, we'll bring it back to the full council meeting and take it from there. And at least you will see then that we're looking at all the planning bits that are applied to the village, which is really what you need to know on all the plans that come up. And the fact that we want to respond to everything and not get caught out when someone says, well, you haven't been to this meeting, you haven't responded to this one. The idea is we will.
Thank you, Colin. Any questions for Colin on that? It's something we are an addition to what we've been doing in the past. Right, thank you. Facilities, report of recommendations with regards to the various committees we've set up. Most of we've alluded to, but do you want to speak on this, Jean?
Well, the main thing is, what you talk about the extraordinary meeting we had.
Well, it's basically that, isn't it? We've set up, instead of as we had before, quite a number of committees. We've now, these are the committees that we had before, which were the Park Committee, the Football Committee, the Allotment Committee, and effectively it's all now under one, the Facilities Committee.
Yes.
Yeah.
There seem to be lots of sort of different collections of sort of councils meeting, which made it quite onerous with lots of sets of minutes, which historically have been sort of not quite followed through. So this is a recommendation from Balk that you sort of go through facilities just to sort of try and club everything together. You could have ground maintenance, which includes all the work in the park, footpaths and churchyard, and the relationship with all the suppliers in the service. And then have a subcommittee for the pavilion, premises maintenance, including handyman repair, and then sports and recreation. That would cover football, regiment fitness, allotments, and that sort of covers all that area as well. We need to, at the moment, we need to understand in our new terms of reference, we have to get 5 members for the facilities committee. That was what was decided at our last meeting, and they need to be selected tonight if at all possible. And then from that, go forward and work out the smaller subcommittees, which will then feed into the facilities committee.
We're having 5 on the Facilities Committee.
Yes, they would be 5 councillors to form the core of the facilities committee, and that's what's covered in our terms of reference that we agreed at the last meeting.
We would then have various meetings, just as they are now,
Yes,
with regards to the football and the churchyard and
well, they would be divided up into these 4 sections. So each one of those, there would be a chairman and a vice chair of the facilities committee from the 5, and then you'd go down into smaller subcommittees to work on these 4 areas here.
yes,
So it's just really clarifying and getting into smaller groups
the
so they
problem.
can concentrate.
The problem with having subcommittees as such, we have all that goes with them, and that would be, of course, is 3 days' notice, publish it for the public, and so on. Whereas the committees, as they meet down now, such as the churchyard one, which has 3 people on it, they're more spontaneous and are in fact working parties, which then report back to a committee or if not to the council itself.
Well, they would still need to provide minutes of
Oh, of
what
course
they
they would.
discussed.
Oh, yes.
So
Yeah. In fact, the churchyard committee, I just mentioned that, there are notes and minutes written on that one,
probably,
the last time they met.
yeah.
And there's no reason really why, such as the football clubs, there's usually 3 or 4 members who would attend that meeting who have particular interest with football, who would report back.
Facilities, yeah.
Yeah.
Not from the facilities, back to the council.
No, I think it's important that the structure is the facilities committee who are looking after the component bits, and the facilities committee is what reports back to parish council. Same with finance and staffing. It's the finance and staffing committee which has 1 or 2 subcommittees which reports back to the council, not the individual subcommittees.
Sounds like another level of bureaucracy to me.
A subcommittee, I would argue, is you have a committee, and I would always recommend working parties. Simply, unless you're only going to meet every 6 months, but when you've got a park like this, once every 6 months is not really good, is it? How often were you proposing to meet?
Or they can set their own timetables depending on what they need.
But you've got to think about the clerk's time. If it's a committee or even a subcommittee, you still need to have
Well,
everything
could
is
they not do their own
different.
minutes as we did?
No,
when we did
no,
the,
No, if it's a
the
committee or a
clerk.
subcommittee, the clerk has to be there.
Planning.
When we did the selection process for the clerk, deciding about sort of working up for local clerk, we did our own minutes and then submitted them to the facilities.
We did have a clerk.
We didn't have a clerk then, did we?
Well, I'm trying to sort of save.
Are we not
That's
talking
fine.
about the same thing? In as much as a working, say, the football working group
Yeah.
reports to the parks
Committee.
subcommittee. So it's still a working group, it can still
Yeah.
operate spontaneously, do its own limits, it reports back to the parks subcommittee.
Well, it's just a question of clarifying, feeding everything in, so that, and it's just to divide it into separate areas.
So
the
what I'm
only
saying is that
difference-
there's no reason why it shouldn't still be possible for those working groups to go out, address things quickly
Yes, it's
and
just,
feedback.
it's just bringing it in, it's just.
They don't
bringing
need
it in.
agendas publishing
No.
or
The
anything.
only
like that.
difference
but
between-
But they do need to obviously provide a report minutes
Yes,
to.
But the only
to-
difference
to-
between a working group and a committee is that
Presumably the working group doesn't have to have the clerk
no,
present.
the working committee
The
is
not
not.
subcommittee
No,
does.
the working committee cannot have any powers of decision. That's the only
No,
difference.
in the terms of reference, the subcommittee doesn't have any delegated
Oh.
powers.
No,
No,
that's
no,
different. Delegated powers is something different. They can actually do things. If they've got no delegated powers, they can't make decisions. You might just as well call it a working party.
Is it that this is where it's confusing people in the way that the agenda has been written, because it looks as if
This looks like
There
four
are
different
those that-
committees.
right, but
I
actually
think this is just, the way that's come, it's just because that's what stands now.
that's what
Those three
I
things
had.
there are
That's, I
what
had
it
done
is
it
now.
that way.
Yes.
In that we have the 3 reports and then we
Ideally, once you
then
get
we
a
do-
new facilities
So you're just
committee,
looking at having
just
one.
cover it all.
right.
That's
Yes.
that's the
You
better
don't
way,
have those
isn't it?
separate. Those
No.
are not separate.
No.
There is a new
That's why I think the confusion has come about.
No.
Because the idea was we would hear from the 3 now, then we would vote in the new
That's right,
facilities.
and then do your new
It's not,
facilities.
the
so-
2 things are not the same.
No.
One is the old structure, one
That's
is the
right.
new.
The other thing with the working party is, of course, that someone who's possibly not on the facilities can be joined, can
Absolutely.
go along and join the working party.
And hopefully we can have members of the parish as well to come in, as we do with the planning.
Yes, you
We have
can.
John Watson. We could have other people come in and join the subcommittee stroke working party.
So,
I think what we need to do is we need to hear from
Hear from
these
those ones now,
and then we need to
and then
vote
just
in the new.
formalise.
Yeah.
You can have members of the public on a committee,
Co-opted.
but they cannot have powers of voting.
Mm.
You might have some members of the parish that have got particular skills or knowledge that you want.
You know, it could be something like the allotments. You could have a subcommittee stroke working party and have somebody representing the allotments.
They're different, Jean, they're different.
Well,
we still need to appoint a facilities committee.
yes.
Um,
I mean, obviously, yes, Jill's absolutely right. Those other reports of what's happening at the moment from the different groups, but
What do members feel then? Are we haven't got everybody, well, we have a few absences tonight, haven't we? But whether we can appoint a...
Nominate.
Sorry?
I said nominate.
Nominate them.
Should we not hear the reports first and then?
yes.
Well, what from those...
Well, whoever's dealing with the park at the moment, that's probably
Well, at the
contractors,
moment with
football.
the park, that is Paul, Teresa, Dave Wallace, Martin Watson. That's the park and recreation at the moment. Football is myself, Teresa, Dave Wallace and Tony Winterbottom. The churchyard is Martin Watson, Teresa and Marion. Footpaths is Paul, Jeff and Dave Wallace. Then we're on to Remembrance, which is Dave Wallace, Teresa Kirkland, Paul Brook and Marion. And then just up for Anthony Hall is Teresa. Although that's not really a...
No.
So,
Do any of these have anything to report?
well, we had at the last football committee was held, I think you were involved in that, weren't you, Dave? And had a subcommittee with them.
We have discussed, I've spoken with I think Andy Smith, about organising a meeting for early next year once it's full. So until then, there's nothing more to say at the minute. It's obviously up and running. All that we did have done was have the grass, when the grass was cut previously, we never cut the top 2 bushes which have been cut. I think last week, I think Jill
Yeah.
did we sort that. I think
Yeah, that's been done.
Have we gone on to something else now?
Well, no, we're actually going through
We're just going through
the various committees which...
I'm just giving a little report back on football, but that's it. I mean, I've just sort of preempted Andy Smith saying that in the new year we'll want a meeting with you to discuss, so we can start talking about next year's contract. Plenty of time, I'm not leaving it to the last minute. But that's just something very important.
Something has cropped up just literally within the last couple of days, which is the giving out of permits for the park. This needs a bit of an overhaul, I think, in terms of getting the correct admin in place. There's a new football school for little children who they think they're opening up here in January. They don't have a permit. I do need to get onto this, and I've sought quite a bit of advice as to how to go about it, and I think I can do it in the time rather than tell them they can't start and have the bad PR from that. If you're all happy for me to do that, and if someone would like to work with me on it, but also it's the current rate is £25 per calendar month. Did we want to change that or keep that?
These are 2 bigger questions just to go. That's it.
So, yeah.
Well,
In that
Where are
case,
these
that's fine, we
children
can
coming
leave it.
from? Are they part of AC Cops or?
No, it's a new school. I think it's a franchise thing.
Yeah,
They've been advertising. They think they're opening. I don't know why it hasn't been done properly, and a permit isn't in place. You should have a permit in
I think
place.
I know what's happened here. It's breakdown in communication. They came to us originally, didn't they? And they asked if they could run this kiddie kick swing in the park. We then said you need to speak to the Colts first of all, because there might be a conflict of interest. We didn't want to upset the Colts. So they've gone to the Colts who've said, I spoke to Andy Smith about it, he said, we've not got a problem at all with it, as long as it's going to feed children into our teams. So they've under that, they've presumed that that's it, we can go ahead. But when they should have come back to us then and said, yes, as the Colts are fine with it, now can we come?
It's the first I've heard of it.
No, we did discuss, it has been discussed. Perhaps you went, I don't know, but
Yeah, it was passed straight over to Andy, if I remember.
it wasn't passed over to Andy, yeah.
But some of these committees, such as the allotment, there isn't an allotment committee as such. It's been actually dealt with by the clerk.
So,
Well, I do think that we should have a representative for the allotments. Because, I mean, they're down there all the time, they know what's going on,
Yes.
or not going on, it's often
can we
the
fix?
case.
Sorry,
Yeah, it has been a bit of a bone of contention.
It has,
I'm
and
not clear.
Yeah,
I think we've got sidetracked there, haven't we?
we have run. I think.
Wandered off in football now.
Yes, I mean.
I'm happy to not go ahead and issue the permit if you feel we need more time to talk about it.
I think we have gone about it the right way.
I'm happy
It's,
with
I think
whatever
with the
you all
clerks
decide.
changing, I think that's where problems start out. I
Slip
think
through the crack.
I think for
the
the
Colts are happy, as long as we're happy for them to
yeah,
come.
for the clerk though, Chairman, do you not think that we can issue a permit in terms of the cost? Is that not a financial calendar year thing, where we have an opportunity to change it after April? I mean, I'm asking advice.
We were issuing for a set period. It wasn't the 12 months, was
Is
it?
that the same as we charge regimental fitness
We do,
and
yes.
the...
It is.
in the park?
But what I'm asking is,
Can we up it?
rather than get bogged down about what it should be now,
Yeah.
or we issue a permit, it's £25 a month now, but we reserve the right to increase it.
In
But I'm
the
asking,
next
is that
financial year.
on the 1st of April, or when are we going to action that? Because we do need to assess that.
Well, I remember this now, we didn't do it, I know it sounds, we didn't do it from 1st of April because we felt that there'd be groups coming just for the summer and only have half a year permit and take the summer months. So we were going to run it from January to midsummer.
But we don't want to offer them 12 months now, do we? At
No, we
£25.
were doing 6 months.
Yeah.
That was a 6 month permit at 150. So that way they had
That's right.
to buy.
That's in the finance.
We've done it from the January to half year, rather than doing like it's just a summer. So we're only getting like £150 out of the group, and then it's taking the summer months. And theoretically, you have to run over.
Yeah, if they want to go through to September, they have to buy another.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to propose that that's 150 sticks for the first 6 months of this, to get them off the ground, and then
Yeah.
review it in the summer.
Yeah.
I'm happy to.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
And if they're having children, I gather they don't have to have their parents present for kiddie kicks. So we might need to make sure they've got a DBS checks in place and their public liability as well as their liability.
Yeah. I've got all of that in it. I've got a pro forma risk assessment thing.
Which they have to conform
So
to.
yeah, I think it covers everything. It's just an admin to be done. But so let me just be clear. 6 months from now. From
January.
January. Okay.
But month 1 being January.
And we need to check on the others, making sure they've still got theirs. It's not
Yes,
expired.
yeah.
And where in the park are they? Where in the park are they? Will they be using?
I think they're just going to do it just outside here, aren't they? In that area between the two of the big pitches and the little pitch here.
You don't need any markings
could
or
check
anything,
on
do they? Or
I just need to know
I'll check
so
on
it
that.
doesn't conflict with anybody else already using the park.
Well, the Colts are happy, so they can't now come back at us. Now you're happy for them to come.
It's bang in line with what that park should be used for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Okay, members.
they're from 1 to 6.
Brilliant.
The other committees,
Page 1 to 6.
the other committees, they such as the football, they don't actually meet that often. It's about twice a year. The Remembrance again, that is an annual event. All these various committees, or rather working parties, were effectively what they were, meet infrequently, and in fact they will be coming under the umbrella of the Facilities Committee. So we're still left really with appointing a Facilities Committee or nominate people who are not here who want to. I mean, at the moment, as I read it out, the main one, which is the Park and Recreation, is Paul, Teresa, Dave and Martin Watson. How do you feel, members? Are they willing to carry on as that and have an addition to that?
No. You have to, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I think it needs to be a core 5 members of people, 5 members of the council to be on the facilities, and then other councils will join them as they have done.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's what we were. Yes,
Yes.
yes, that's right. Yeah. I mean, when you look at the rest of them, they're up. That 4 at the moment are represented in several of the other present committees.
So do we report to the Facilities Committee then?
Well,
Is that what
you'll
you're
be-
saying?
No, we are looking for the membership of the Facilities Committee.
I'm asking a question. So
Yeah.
Dave and I are on a park.
Yeah.
We report to the Facilities Committee.
You will be the Facilities
Yeah,
Committee.
you will.
So we are now the Facilities
Well,
Committee.
yeah, well, if we
That's one other, because you've only got 4, you're looking for 5.
So we're not the Facilities Committee. We're the park.
Yeah.
We look after the park.
no. These other ones will disappear, but become working parties. But under the umbrella of the Facilities Committee, which will be a core of 5 members.
So we need to.
Work out.
Well,
who
I
wants to
withdraw my position. I don't want to be part of the Facilities Committee.
Okay.
It's best to ask who wants to be on.
Yeah, who wants to be on it then? That's the easiest way.
Me.
Yeah.
I do.
One, that's Joe, Dave, and Jean,
Teresa.
Teresa.
Tony. We vote for Tony.
Well, I don't mind being on the
I
5th
think,
one.
I mean, bearing in mind 1 or 2 of the proposed subcommittees, it seems to be imperative that perhaps Colin or Tony is a member of the Facilities Committee.
Well,
But
that's rather planning and
But you'll be in a position to join them at any time with the working party.
yeah, well, seeing as Tony's not here, that's a bit unfair. Because I'll raise my
Tony
hand.
on
So,
That's 5 then.
So, who's the 5?
That's Teresa, Dave Wallace, Martin Watson.
Oh,
Well,
No, Martin Watson didn't come into it.
No, he's not there.
Joe, Jean and Colin.
Oh, I was going to say, he's on
Dave and Teresa.
the original one.
Colin, were you putting your name forward or not?
Yes.
Fine, good man.
Now bearing in mind next May,
So that's
we'll all
fine.
have to be re-elected again.
Yeah, we all know that, yeah.
Doesn't disappear on me.
Okay,
Have we got 5? Did we get 5?
We've got
have.
5.
Fabulous.
Joe, Dave, Jean, Teresa, Colin.
yes. Right, that's all on facilities then.
Could I, Mr Chairman, I wonder if you'd indulge me just very briefly. I did ask at the last committee meeting that the subject of PAT testing be put on the agenda. It's in 14185A and it got omitted, but this is really very short, and if you just bear with me. The minutes of the Aston Parish Council meeting on the 1st of October said, Mrs Lawson reported that a broken door closer at the youth club needs to be replaced and PAT testing needs to be carried out. The Parish Council are responsible for these issues. That is not true. Parish Council has no responsibility for PAT testing in its premises like the youth club. It is responsible for the electrical infrastructure and any permanent electrical items that are attached, like a kitchen heater on the wall, high up on the wall. It is not responsible for PAT testing. You know, what we're saying, what that statement says, is that if they want to bring in a ghetto blaster, if they want to bring in any other bit of equipment, we're responsible for testing it. No, it's their responsibility. We are responsible for the infrastructure and what's attached to the infrastructure, and not for anything being literally portable.
Is that so then the clerk can let them know? They got their door closer done.
Fine. I just was anxious that that statement was in fact retracted. Unless somebody knows different, but certainly from my personal experience, we are not responsible for PAT testing. We're not. Thank you.
Okay. Community engagement. Update on the Christmas float. I've got some notes here on that. We now have a street collection permit for the Santa sleigh on the 21st of December. Ian Rennie Hospice have provided us with tabards and collection containers. The sleigh will need to be assembled in the 3 days beforehand, and we'll be doing some volunteers to help that. As you know, it's kept in the tractor garage, and one thing we are short of now, which maybe some of the members could have an idea to provide, the generator that we regularly use is on its last, so we need a generator. It doesn't have to be a very powerful one, but one enough to operate the lights and the actual loudspeaker.
Who's providing the transport? Is it Colin Lane?
Colin Lane, yes.
Do you think Colin might not be in a position from his work point of view to provide
No,
one?
he hasn't got one. He hires one in if he wants one, but he'd hire him something probably bigger than what we need. If anyone has got any suggestions, otherwise to buy such a generator is about £100 or just over.
And the microphone, have we found the bits that are missing?
No, that isn't down. That was went missing after the Santa sleigh.
So have we got some for the Santa sleigh this
Oh
year?
yes, we have. Yes, the same as we used last year. Yeah, it's a hands-free. You know, it's not connected to the system. So basically, we're ready to go, but we haven't got a generator, and if we could see if we can hire one, or otherwise it will be about just over £100.
Must have somebody got a generator.
Yeah,
I'm just
I
thinking.
haven't got one. My son might have one, so I'll see.
It's the sort of thing people who camping and have. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to be a large one. In fact, the one we used to use, it was bigger than what we needed actually.
We'll find one from somewhere.
Yeah, I'll get one from
Well,
someone.
we need it sooner or later, otherwise I need to hire one in.
What time are we going to assemble the float?
What, on the actual
On
day?
Saturday.
Oh, well,
Let's put it together.
yes, well, as soon as you're ready on a Saturday morning, I should think.
What time?
9 o'clock. I think Tony was going to help as well.
So 9 o'clock on Saturday morning to put it together.
Put it together, yeah.
Good Saturday.
Saturday before
The Saturday
20th.
beforehand.
20. And on Sunday, what time are we going to meet to
Well, we'll have to...
decorate it?
Yes, well, that'll be... we need an hour before we move off, which is for...
Half two?
yeah, have to, yeah. We should be up at when we'll close at 3:30.
Then we do it.
Well, we
Father
We're looking
Christmas is
for-
Father Christmas.
Oh, sorry.
It's a secret, it's a surprise. How can you actually
Are
feel
we,
Sorry,
it?
how
are
do I
we,
ask that
are we doing it as per the village law?
yes, that's right, yeah.
Finishing at the pub.
That's right, yeah.
Result.
It's all the same as every year, and we get complaints if we're late.
Tough.
Any questions on that, members? Next is current relationship between Aston Parish Council and the Turpin Charity. The short answer to that is none, but I'm sure you'd like to know more. The Widow Turpin Charity, that was founded in 1736, and when the Widow Turpin died, and she bequeathed all of her estate to the poor of Aston Clinton forever, to be administered by the overseers of the poor. Rent from the land that she owned was to be spent twice a year on bread for the poor, of which the parish at that time included St Leonard's. The church wardens were charged with keeping the accounts. At the time, the village was administered by the vestry committee, chaired by the rector. The committee was appointed the church wardens, the overseers of the poor, and the parish constables. Of course, the parish council didn't exist until 1894. The Turpin charity continues today. It consists of the rector of St Michael's. That is a position that, because of the rector, then also is on the Turpin charity. Also, someone from St Leonard's, because they still have an interest. And the others are co-opted trustees who reside in the parish of Aston Clinton. In recent years, the parish clerk has looked after the accounts in place of the church wardens, and until recently the charity didn't have a clerk. The trustees usually met in the chairman's home, and one of them wrote up the minutes in a small book. The trust has now appointed the clerk who will in fact administer the trust and deal with the what the church wardens were doing in 36. And the actual land consists of 7 acres of a field in College Road North and the allotments in the London Road, Aston Clinton. And so basically that is the Widow Turpin's charity. On some occasions it was confused that in fact they thought that the trustees were appointed by the parish council, but the parish council doesn't have the wherewithal to appoint them because it's not a parish council charity. We do have actually 2 or 3 charities, the parish council, but they're all rather dormant now, unless you want the Aubrey Monique charity, which was to give 50p at Christmas to widows and maids. And there was another one to look after the fountain, but they're all rather dormant. So that really is the Widow Turpin's charity.
On a point of detail, Mr. Chairman, am I right in saying it's not the Widow Turpin's charity?
No, it's the Turpin's charity.
It's the Turpin charity. The Widow Turpin is the Western Turble charity.
They were all Widow Turpin's charity, including Holton. She had land all over.
But under the Charities Commission at the moment, you're just the Turpin charity.
Yeah, we changed it because of the confusion, so it's now the Turpin charity. But there we are. That's.
I wonder, would you be kind enough to circulate a copy of that?
Yes, I
Your
mean.
notes, because it's at odds slightly with something that I have here, which for instance says this estate came into the possession of the parish of Aston Clinton according to the provisions of the above mentioned will in the year 1736.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, that was not. You said the parish council didn't exist until 1834.
No, that's the parish of Aston Clinton, so
thank you.
it is different.
The parish council didn't exist till 1899.
And could we possibly have a list of the trustees of the Turpin?
Well, yes, at the moment it consists of, well, I've just said, it's the rector, John Allen from represents St Leonard's. Nigel Brigden is one of the trustees from the village. John Watson is a trustee, and I'm a trustee.
Who's the chairman?
I am.
And are these all permanent trustees now?
No, it's a 4 years appointment.
But the reappointment is,
How are they re-elected?
Actually, surprisingly, it's for the trustees themselves to appoint people from the village who they consider have a knowledge of the village. I think trustees should be persons who, through residence, occupation, employment and otherwise, with special knowledge of the area and benefit, or who otherwise, by virtue of their personal or professional qualifications, can make a contribution to the charity.
Is that within Aston Clinton and St Leonard's, or just?
The two main ones are the rector and the one from St Leonard's.
who was before you as chairman?
John Watson, right? Yeah, John Watson, yeah.
John Watson. And who before him?
Margaret Lowe.
I'm just surprised because Don seemed to indicate that he was the.
Oh, actually, he might have been at some point somewhere in the middle.
It goes back, as you gather. The minute books is a notebook, which
It's
an exercise book. It doesn't seem to be kept very. It's now we do have a clerk and we do now have proper minutes, but before that it was just an exercise book.
You presumably report to the Charities Commission, do you?
Oh yes, yes.
But there wasn't any money. You know, it was only the money from the fields, which didn't really amount to very much.
So I understand anyway, it's under a certain amount on the Charities Commission, you just sort of put income in,
Exactly.
income out, don't you?
It
It's very
wasn't a
basic.
terrible amount of money. I mean, the only time.
If that increases, what happens then?
Well, yes. I mean, at the moment there is an option for a development for the land down College Road, and nothing really seems to be developing on that. But the option expires after 5 years, which we can't be too far away.
Okay.
I mean, there are obvious, not conflicts, but areas which could do with being clarified. So if you were to look at the Charities Commission website for the Turpin Charity, its contact address is the Parish Meeting Room, Aston Clinton Park, London Road, Aston Clinton, Aylesbury. Its telephone number is the parish telephone number. It's been thus for some time. You could understand why there's some confusion as to whether the charity is related to the parish council or not. Under personal interests, both John Watson and Teresa, in answer to the question of any body of which you are a member or in a position of general control or management, and to which you are appointed or nominated by the council, have both listed Turpin.
Yeah, but I was.
I'm sorry, my understanding of the conversation was that you are not nominated by the council. Richard has said quite clearly it is nothing to do with the
I
council.
wasn't nominated by the council.
You're nominated by the trustees.
That's not the question, it's about whether you were appointed or nominated by the council. So I'm just confused. It seems to me that you weren't nominated by the council.
No, the council can't nominate.
No, it's not for the council to nominate to the parish.
Right, so
charity.
that it was
Yes,
not
I-
necessary for you to put Turpin on declaration of interest.
Unfortunately, that form, the most recent one, it came out with 4 pages of. I never saw them, by the way. 4 pages of explanation. It wasn't very well written. The previous ones, which I declared in 2011 and 12, actually had the what you should put down. The more recent form has been rather confusing, and that is even from the monitoring officer's staff has said that. But no, they're not appointed by the council because the council hasn't the power to do so. Okay, but the other ones, the other charities, which I think probably Alex might find of interest, these ones that existed giving widows and maids 10 shillings at Christmas. I don't know how they assessed they were maids. But there we are. Anything else? I mean, we've got now discussions about community engagement strategy. Anyone wants to speak on that?
Well, I'm happy to speak briefly. I can't remember if I put it on the agenda. I think I might have.
We would have notes if you had, yeah.
There are a number of discussions that go on in media other than Facebook's an example, which provide the potential for an increased level of engagement between the parish council and the public. And as a broad statement, I think we should welcome such opportunities. What's in the back of my mind, we don't need to make a decision today or even dwell on it, but what's in the back of my mind is what the parish council can do to increase its engagement with the community. And for instance, a Facebook group of Aston Parish Council is one. I'm not looking to engage the discussion on it now. I'd be happy for this to be left for future meetings, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much.
But I would welcome thinking by members of the parish as to what we do.
Yeah, I mean, it has been suggested that we should put an article in the Village Life magazine, and I did a few, and the clerk did a few.
Yes, I'm going to do that. I've spoken to Alec already.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, with respect, Alec, forgive me. Carry on. It's not, it doesn't have that sense of immediate engagement, which is the bit where we have an increased use of technology available to us. The website is one, but there are others where we can engage more readily. And I think those are the sort of areas we should be.
Like a WhatsApp group, some of them, things like that as well. You know, I found a photo of the lamppost has fallen over in whatever. It'd get straight there, wouldn't it? Rather than get discussed.
So, Jeff, you're suggesting it goes on the next,
Somebody will anyway.
next meeting, or another meeting?
Another meeting, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
okay, thank you. Okay, well, we've not done too badly today. We're round to public participation. Rather than asking everyone, could I start from the left or no? Anyone with questions for the council? Yes.
Hi. I was just going back to the part about the costs and the risks, etc. Just something that literally has come to light just now is if the building here and the telephone is all listed on the Turpin charity details, are any of those costs back charged for dual facility use? Is the parish council phone used for any of the Turpin charity business if that's their registered landline?
I can't answer that. It does remind me though that there was a meeting here last Wednesday, I believe.
I'm just thinking of fixed cost electricity, etc.
Well,
I'm all for charity, but if there's
Can I just pursue my point? The meeting last Wednesday was
Yes, so Turpin Charity.
Turpin Charity in the parish office.
Yeah.
Will we receive a payment from Turpin Charity for use of the parish office?
If you wish to charge, yes.
Good, thank you.
But
Sure,
we
the clerk will
do have actually other organisations of the village who actually meet in here.
Charge them as well.
Mr Chairman, I seem to remember when old organisations wanted to use the parish office, they've had to ask the council, and we voted on it. The Scouts, I think, were asked. Joe, didn't you ask the question forward?
Yeah.
To vote?
Yeah.
I think the British Legion was the same, so I'm a little surprised that it's been used without that authority, I'll be honest.
Well, I mean, we could, we should have asked, but otherwise it'd be back to the chairman's living room.
Well, I still think it should have been asked. I think it's very rude, because I think there's other organisations that might use it.
Can I just finish my point? Sorry.
Yeah.
Beth, can I just leave that I've pointed out that the facilities for the parish council are being used for other things, and if there is anything chargeable to bring back this percentage increase of our fixed outgoings, that it's looked into?
I think the answer to your question is probably over the last N years there has been very little engagement of parish council or its facilities for Turpin Charity.
Okay.
It would be my assessment.
Okay.
Often do they meet?
Once a year.
Twice at the
Sorry?
most.
Once a year, twice at the most. And that's it really.
As a charity, surely it should be exempt from, for God's sake. They're doing good, aren't they?
Yeah, it's not a cloak and dagger organisation. We're implying there's something wrong here. It's not. I think we're down a rabbit hole, Mr. Chairman. We need
Leave
to back
them
back
and let
up.
them have it.
Yeah, Mr. Member of the
They're
public.
doing good. They did good for years, more than we ever know. That's why you should call that road Turpin Close. You just let them have it,
Is that on there?
please.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Well, it's reasonable, isn't it?
I would say that I think the administration would be horrendous.
It costs more than it's worth.
Well, I beg to differ. I think we need to set a policy and stick to it. Yeah, you could say the scale, same as the scales.
But anyhow, Bob, they've moved on.
Sorry?
They've moved on.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the public?
Yeah, well, there's been a white line painted on the road out in Rothschild's Avenue outside 2 houses. Why?
I can't answer it. Can anyone answer that?
Well, it's an official white line on a public
We'll
highway.
need to phone Bucks County Council.
Yeah, that doesn't come under our...
They don't
Is that in front of the bungalows there?
No,
No,
it's on
that's
Rothschild's
another one.
Avenue. There's 2 houses down there which have extended their driveways, and there's a white line painted on the road outside these 2 houses.
Because there's another white line just down the road from the
Yeah.
coffee shop, isn't
Yeah,
there?
well, the coffee, I
Yeah,
should,
which
yeah.
is pretty tacky as well.
Well, it does, and I actually thought a resident might have just popped out and done
it
it.
does look like
Because
it.
the, obviously the coffee shop's having a problem
We need
with
to ring Bucks County
I'll bring Bucks
It's only
County.
five.
I have known in the past, and I can't reflect, that where you've got someone who's disabled and they need to have access to a drive, I think that can occur, but that would have to be done through Bucks County Council.
I think you'd have to paint half the roads then, wouldn't you, really?
Well,
It just seems strange that one bit of road gets a white line on it, in the middle of an estate.
Otherwise they come to the Parish Council. No, they don't.
yes, if you
Yeah.
like to inquire, but if you transport for Bucks, I'm sure they'll give you an answer.
As long as you don't pay for it, that's the main.
Oh, no, no. Okay, there's no other questions for